in troubled times, a pandemic, we have seen some pretty aggressive and big spending plans from the government to try to get people and industries through to the other side. One industry has hit pretty hard is the retail space. There's a commercial rent program. It's got some mixed reviews out there. So what might the space want to see from the new finance minister? Let's bring in Ed Sonshine, CEO of RioCan REIT, for his take on this cabinet shakeup. Ed, we'll just start right there. Mr. Morneau gone, Chrystia Freeland in the post. It's not even the middle of the week yet. From your perspective in your industry, what are you hoping to see? What does it mean?
Well, I've certainly never seen changes like this, so it's hard to know exactly what it's going to mean. But based on what Minister Freeland said yesterday, I have to admit that I'm a little concerned that the focus is on green, diversity, and inclusion. I think were the big three words. And a lot of what's been missing from their agenda, which I don't think you're going to see much change between the agenda that Mr. Morneau was having and Chrystia Freeland's, because at the end of the day, I think it's all being driven by the Prime Minister's office. The thing that's missing, the small, certainly from my industry, the small tenants have been, although the rollout was difficult and it's fine, it was the SECRA program, which is, for smaller independent tenants. It has been a help, and they extended it to the end of August. So it's helping a lot of small tenants survive. Hopefully there'll be enough. There never was any help for what I'll call the larger tenants. People like Cineplex, like Indigo, like Good Life, and I'm mentioning three specific large Canadian, iconic tenants, in my opinion. And, the government came up with that LEAF program, which to my knowledge, nobody has ever applied for or been approved for, which was, $60 million plus in some types of loans that they came with such rigorous, hurdles and conditions that, I don't think, to my knowledge, it's not been used by anybody. So it'd be nice to see some help for some of these very hard-hit industries. The pandemic specifically hurts, amongst many others, of course, people like gyms, like large-scale venues like Cineplex. So I'm hopeful to see something like that. I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, because what we heard, I guess, from the new finance minister yesterday and the prime minister is about this ambitious agenda that we're going to get on September 23rd with a throne speech about how to seize the opportunity, grow the economy. They didn't talk a lot about the things that they've already done. You mentioned the LEAF program. I took 2 weeks vacation, but I don't recall any big business taking it up either, unless they did it in the time that I was away. The rent program's getting mixed reviews, and obviously you found problems with it as well. Are you a bit afraid that they're just going to let those programs run out, even though they haven't been a success, and say, okay, we're on to the next thing now?
Yeah, I am. And unfortunately, living in Ontario, as I know you do, Greg, we've been through a whole green energy program that was brought in originally by, I think, the McGuinty government. And, it may have been successful in, I know it was successful in cutting down a lot of coal burning plants, and that was great. And the environment's important to everybody. But when government's directing it and government's funding it, somehow you don't get a great result. We are still paying in our Ontario hydro bills and Toronto hydro bills for all that green energy stuff that was done almost 10 years ago. And we're going to be paying for it for a long time. So when government tries to direct industry in a certain area that they favor, the results aren't always what the government intended. In fact, they often aren't.
Now, in terms of your industry specifically, I want to talk about a little bit of what you've seen. I found it interesting, of course, Target long left these shores, but they're having some success south of the border, actually getting shoppers back into their stores physically, even a feat that Walmart couldn't pull off. What are you seeing in some of your big tenants? Is the foot traffic returning?
The foot traffic is returning slowly. I was talking to the people at Cineplex specifically the other day. They said, they actually sold out some of their movies over the last weekend, but when sold out means 50 seats in a 400-seat auditorium, you're not making any money. So the people are coming back. I think people want to go out. But I think it's going to be a slow ramp up, and it's all about people feeling safe. But I think your comment about Target is a fascinating one, because we believe at RioCan that is the future, and we have to work with our retailers towards that multi-channel, omni-channel focus. There was some interesting stats that I took out of the Target report, which I read quite closely, because they have made such a success out of building their whole e-tailing, if you can call it e-commerce, around their physical stores. And what they found was that a multi-channel guest spends 4 times as a store-only guest, and a multi-channel guest spends 10 times as much as a digital-only guest. So, those are huge numbers, and hopefully will be taken to heart by a lot of our other retailers as a way to, really adapt to this new world we're in.
And before I let you go, we only have about a minute left, but I do know we've been speaking over the years about RioCan's residential plays. Right now, residential is hot. It's a long process, but are you seizing on this opportunity right now?
Yeah, no, we're going, we slowed down a couple of projects, really just a couple at the beginning of the pandemic, sort of waiting to see, how is the world going to end? But certainly the 2 buildings that we have completed and rented up have been great. And we still are on track that by the end of next year sometime, we'll have a couple of thousand units open and operating, and hopefully with very happy tenants in them.
It's always great to catch up with you. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak with us.
And thank you very much for having me on. Bye-bye.
See you soon. Ed Sonshine, the CEO of RioCan REIT.